In the top left-hand side, our blue Terran player is INnoVation. And in the bottom right-hand side, it's going to be our red Protoss player. It is Stats. So, I actually don't know what to expect between the two of them here. I actually look at this series and I'm a bit like, huh. How do I, where do we predict this going? I think recently I casted INnoVation Stats. I say recently, it was a little while back, but it was kind of a weird series because it was one of those ones that absolutely did not go the way anyone expected to. It was proxied ghosts, there was an in-base nexus, and that was a couple months ago at this stage as well. They've only played twice this year. 2-1 Stats the first time back in March, 2-1 INnoVation in that weird series back in May. So yeah, they've not played each other all that much here just yet in 2020. Yeah, I don't know who to favor. Honestly, I feel like I would just say INnoVation because INnoVation has been on fire lately, but then I look at his results over the last couple of weeks and maybe it's been a little bit slower going for him, right? It's not been as great compared to what you might usually expect to see from INnoVation. So then I'm a bit like, maybe I'm leaning toward the Stats, who has actually started to look much better, once again as well. So yeah, it's a tough one to call this best of 3 series, and I guess that means we just have to sit back, watch the games, and see what happens. I guess I would still edge INnoVation as a favorite, but yeah, I don't want to say that with full confidence, like, oh yeah, INnoVation. I expect this to be a 2-1 either way, and I hope it's a 2-1 so we get some good games out of this, a good series. Just going to see this factory dropping down, of course, and INnoVation doing what is very standard, just a Reaper into that single Marine. And of course, looking to apply some pressure across the map. The Adept is on the map and starting to shade across here from Stats. Stalker not ready, so some time for this Reaper to get in, but that's what the shield battery is for. So yeah, the shield battery has become a popular kind of addition lately as well. Getting the shield battery up so you can basically protect your probes from the Reaper and send the Adept straight across the map anyway. So INnoVation, you can see, already pulls his Marine up to the high ground. And this is probably delayed CC, right? 6 seconds. Ooh. It's going to be very close. I actually think it does still die. 69 out of 71. Super close to finishing. A small frustration here from INnoVation as he waits for the couple extra Marines and this Hellion to pop out so he can properly fight against this Adept. Turn this around and get back to building up the natural expansion as he wants to bring this SCV down really with no delay at all. The Adept is going to threaten it, but one shot and then it's shaded away. Now the Reaper and Hellion combo will go across the map to try and get some scouting, although an extra Hellion on the way, so there may just be more than scouting planned here from INnoVation for that first Hellion. Did you see the units continuing across? And that blink is started from Stats. Now, this is a Stats who yesterday showed us he was not afraid to play 4-gate blink, and there's gateway number 4. Starting up right away here. Thing is, INnoVation sees this at the perfect time. Is, oh my god, the units all across the map from Stats. He's going to lose 3 probes already. He recalls the Adept, recalls the Stalker, but these units are still not fast enough to stop 5 probes going down. What a start for INnoVation. A lot of work and damage already dealt early. Okay, now he's only got 2 Hellions to put in the medevac, but you've already killed 5 probes. That's a lot of what you'd look for. The only thing I would say is because there's shield batteries in each mineral line, 2 Hellions shouldn't find that much damage. If there was no shield batteries, I'd be like, oh, maybe I even still really love this because there's still potential, but 2 Hellions shouldn't get anything else done at this stage. 3 Hellions have that one shot, so then the shield battery doesn't matter, but 2? Yeah, 2 shouldn't achieve much at all as INnoVation into the Raven and the Siege Tank into 2 extra racks, and this should be a good setup for him to hold off 4 gates of Blinkstalker pressure. The medevac here to, threaten a couple of units, having to stay at home to defend as well. And yeah, Stats, as he starts to make his way across the map, you'll already be missing 2 Stalkers at the front. They're going to sit in the main base. And then there's going to be a Siege Tank out in a moment, and I would be very surprised if INnoVation didn't go to another Siege Tank, unless he swaps the barracks onto Tech Labs, but yeah, the only thing I really don't like here for INnoVation is these Tech Labs on the racks are going to be super exposed to the Blink Stalkers, right? So that's going to be a major issue in itself if you're trying to blink in, if you're trying to get stim up and you get blinked on. That medevac took a little bit of a bad cut of the corner and will go down. Tell you what, both the Marine, the bunker and the tank on the low ground, not really much in this main base. Apart from what, the potential to auto turret the Raven. Well, he's going to auto turret right now as a tank does spawn from the factory and these Stalkers get pushed to the corner. INnoVation will not fight for too long because he knows the Stalkers can just lift back up into the Warp Prism. As Stats already planning his follow-up to this, just going into the Robo Bay from the start. Some extra Stalkers setting up. They're going to blink in, but there's that tank in the background here. That's a lot of Stalkers going down. What was that blink? I think just complete confidence that the Warp Prism is going to evacuate the units here. And I mean, a few of them do just about get to the low ground, but that was costly for Stats. That was a lot of Stalkers dying. This was Stats' issue yesterday against Dream as well. He really got overly aggressive with these Stalkers, and while it worked for him yesterday because of Dream's build, it did kind of feel as though it was falling. It was a time as well, maybe? I think it was actually more time. But either way, it kind of fell apart for time because of, you know, him taking so much damage. But I don't feel like this is too much damage from Inno, and he's killing so many Stalkers. He's really making up. That's 2 more Stalkers lost there in this fight. And INnoVation is not far away from Stim and Combat Shields. The benefit of having gone toward a 3-rack setup is you're going to have those upgrades to help push back against these Stalkers once they finish up as well. Stats now on his way to a 3rd base. First Colossus about halfway done. I'm still just not sure about how many Stalkers have been lost here from Stats in the early few engagements. This Prism around the left-hand side. A couple of Forges will build from Stats in the natural expansion, and still Stalkers at the front will blink in. A couple of Hellions going down. It's going to be seeing a couple of SCVs falling already. Again, this set of Stalkers will have to lift back up and go hide away up into the corner. So hiding into the corner there as the charge continues in the Twilight Council. 1-1 attack and armor upgrades on the Forges with the extended thermal lance still coming through. I love this Raven just following the Warp Prism around. It's like, well, where do you want to go? Problem is, if you try and go through over here, there's actually a missile turret that can probably stop you. INnoVation just getting his 3rd CC, already on his way to Vikings, very aware of what's going on in the game. Vikings are actually just really useful now to shut down this Warp Prism. That's probably going to force a recall, right? Because you can't really get out through the top side because of the missile turret. Be very surprised if this has anything other than a recall here as Stats. Oh, takes a couple of shots. He hasn't recalled in time. He's going to lose the Prism. Well, that's even more costly. Now you've got no pressure across the map, and so INnoVation can go full force out across to the other side. And this is going to be a real test for Stats as to whether he can hold this 3rd base off a very low Stalker count. A couple Colossi, at least they will have extended thermal lance. INnoVation even pulling a few SCVs out. Nope, that's just because he wants to start mining from the 3rd base. He chases in depth through the speedy zone, and now the Stalkers here to kind of get what they can. I mean, honestly, gets another Stalker kill. The couple Marauders stimming up. Works like a charm, and Stats loses another Stalker. Okay, this is getting worse and worse. He's at least going to have charge soon, but how many Zealots does he have? He's got 7 Zealots at the moment. 3 Colossi is nice. Tank sieging up here, we saw this yesterday from Dream, was very powerful. Position that's hard to reach for the Colossi. Well, I'm not confident about the tank position and about the Colossus position, and obviously the Vikings able to kind of sit in this area as well. Hard for the Stalkers to deny them, so shots you can get off consistently against the Colossi. That is big as tanks edge their way forward. The Bio comes towards the 3rd base. Nothing on the map from Stats, as that, you know, INnoVation doesn't have to worry about a single Zealot run by. He doesn't have to worry about anything that Stats might try and put into play here. As these tanks continue to fire up a storm on this Nexus. So Nexus taking quite a bit of damage as our Vikings will actually find this Observer. And Bio will just continue to fight. The Zealots go down very quickly so far. Tanks target firing the important units in the back. I mean, the Colossi kind of stand for a long time in this, but they just don't have the support that they need any longer. Battery overcharge only just now used. In fairness, it's quite far back, that battery, so how much would it have done if it was used earlier in the fight anyway? Probably not much. As the Marauders take a little while to get through these Zealots, but then you got Marauders. They're going to go dive on the Colossi. Battery overcharge is gone. Colossus are gone. 3rd base is gone. And Stats is gone from game number 1. And INnoVation. Powerful push through the center. And again, Stats just losing too many Stalkers without getting enough done on Inno's side of the map. Top right-hand side, our blue Terran player is INnoVation. Taking a 1-0 lead. And after a shaky start in this group, he seems to be somewhat back on track, especially if he's able to close this series out with a victory on his side. That would be a big win to try and get him back to the top of this group. Already at the top of this group as it stands is Stats in the bottom left-hand side. He went 3-0 on day number 1 with this match, and then versus Raynor left to play. Definitely a couple of tougher ones, but primed himself to get through this group regardless of today's results, unless some really, really crazy things happen and map scores go against him and all the rest. Well, as Probe comes across the map, Stats will go across to try and delay the CC a little bit, try and be that little bit annoying early on, and just try to, of course, if possible, slow down INnoVation and just figure out what's going on as well, right? So nothing we don't expect there, as we do have our Probe just all the way over through to the top side, going to move into the main base. INnoVation going to send his own SCV scout. Of course, you do want to see that Nexus going down. You see no Nexus, you start to get worried about potential proxy gateways, whether that's just proxied one gate or a second proxied gate. Either way, that's the sort of thing you want to know about, because seeing it early means you can respond early, you can get a bunker up, you can cancel the CC, build at high ground. It gives you that chance to realistically, defend against that kind of setup. As SCVs get the probe kill. Hey, that's really nice for INnoVation, because now the Reaper doesn't have to go hunting around, trying to see if it can find a probe that's hiding off to the side. Yeah, this SCV goes all the way into the main, just have a quick check around, and then back out, back home. Reaper is just going to come straight across the map, I think. I don't think there's any reason to go elsewhere when you've killed that probe with the SCVs, and again, that just means you've got the Reaper across the map so much sooner, as Stats is going to build the shield battery in the mineral line once again, just as we saw last game. He's going to get the Adept. It means the Adept can go straight across the map, and this Reaper shouldn't be able to do too much. Adept is still here for the moment. It will commit to the Shade, though, and the Reaper just starts to head home. I think INnoVation says, okay, well, based on what you did last game, if you're going to do the same again, I'd rather just have the Reaper at home. Gives me a better chance of defending against this Adept and keeping my command center building, especially as this time he already has the bunker at the front as well. So I like it for INnoVation, as these two units will meet once again. INnoVation gets the Reaper in the bunker. There's 2 Marines about to spawn. Yeah, I really like it for Inno, right? I mean, this Adept isn't going to do much. The CC is going to finish, and it's going to be a nice startup for our Terran players. So a bit of a cleaner start from INnoVation. Twilight into Robo again. So very quick Robo usually does indicate the want of going into 4 gates of Stalkers. I mean, it is another good 4-gate Blink Stalker map. You know, you poke at the front, very easy. Probably the easiest blink up into the main base from that as well. Although, not super near any of the kind of key tech units or structures. But yeah, the Robo before gates, it's weird because you'd imagine, well, if you want to go 4-gate Stalkers, surely you get the gates earlier for more Stalkers, but the Robo being early means you get the Observer and the Prism, and that gives you so much information to help you decide how to utilize the Stalkers, and that's oftentimes the most important part of all of this. As you do see the Stalker able to push the Reaper away off to the side there, and it is just looking to be 3 gateways, right? I don't think we're looking at 4 gates at the moment. INnoVation, it's worth mentioning what he's doing. We kind of saw it on the screen already, but it is just 2 extra racks. There's no factory in this, so it's a lot of bio units very early in the game. Now, there is obviously both the upgrades coming through, but this means no factory, so no tank support. It means there's going to be no medevac support for a while. So that's all delayed, but it comes with this much faster push, with Marauders included, so that's very good against Stalkers here, and perhaps some real opportunity there from INnoVation to get across the map and to get something done. So we'll see how this continues to play out. As for the moment, he'll just show a few Marines. In case there was something on this watchtower, this really says, hey, you know, this is me just kind of, you know, with Marines. It doesn't show the Marauders. It doesn't show what else is up. He sees this Observer. Perfect snipe! INnoVation. That's why he's moving out with the Marines. He knows it's around the time for the Observer to show up, and he finds it instantly. That's 75 gas just down the drain from Stats. Robo build time used up. I mean, Stats instantly starts the Robo Bay. We expect that to be faster based on the kind of build order here this time around. As these Marines will see the Prism. I mean, if the Prism sees the Marauders, Stats' plan would be to get some SCV damage done, and then you can recall this Prism back home to help with this defense, and you may need it. I mean, Stats not a super fast thirst, so it won't be punished there. Honestly, though, I feel like a couple of Marauders in this main, a couple of SCVs pulling in, and you've got a pretty good defense here, so Stats won't do much. And that's why he just needs to get out of range and recall as soon as possible to get these units back home. He's building a lot of shield batteries on this natural. He's even adding an immortal on. He recognizes that he's in a bit of trouble here. Now he needs to respond to it. Again, the unit's down to help out. Kills off the Adept. Here we go. INnoVation has arrived. Does he want to go in? Maybe not, because, you know, if he commits in, it's a stim he may not want to use. He might just want to sit here and pick away at the gates. He might just want to keep these units alive for a later push if he feels like there's not enough to be done here. I mean, honestly, I kind of liked it. I mean, I guess with the super battery, maybe it becomes a bit too scary. So INnoVation just backs off, keeping units alive. He's defended this Warp Prism well. Neither player will take any serious damage right away. The Stats will now be able to go out for a 6-minute third base. So third on the way from Stats, with this Prism still just out the back of the natural. Starport is on the way from INnoVation. Obviously, I mentioned this factory is going to be later, and comes in now. We'll take a third CC alongside it. Yeah, the next step from Inno is really deciding when do you want to attack against the Colossi production. Is he going to go at a similar timing to last time? Well, you know, if he does that, you've got to remember you don't have the siege tank production in this game. So you don't have the siege tank support to help you fight Colossus. So he might just completely skip bio units. He could just go double starport, you know, 5 racks double starport and reactor out Vikings. I think he may have to do that if you don't have factory units from early on. I mean, siege tanks really help a lot against Colossi. The ability to target fire them really pushes them out of a fight, and it allows you to not have the Vikings. But yeah, I feel like without tanks building from earlier in the game, it's just, you just don't really have that option. So you need to have a response to Colossus, and Masters of Bio doesn't generally, you know, cut it. You know, it just doesn't really do enough usually. Third CC is going to be done soon as Stats about to finish up the third Nexus. His first Colossus is already on the map. He's actually already got 2. I forgot how early he started these up compared to the last game. INnoVation does not want to get caught out here. That's really bad. He's going to lose a lot of units. A lot of Marines going down, a few Marauders. INnoVation, well, he's going to bring the rest of his units out, but this is now already a herd set of Bio. Blink in from Stats. I love this push from Stats, just really abusing this stage where he's gone into fast Colossus. He has that tech, and INnoVation is really neglected to get anything up against this tech so far. It's definitely one of the times that's very scary, but Stats knows that going into the natural may just be overcommitment. If you lose everything here, the SCV's pull and you lose everything, the counterattack can just end the game. So he will back away himself, contend that the third base is not in location, contend that INnoVation is not being overly greedy himself, and obviously he's obviously gotten quite a few pickoffs as well on those bio units. So he's already had, you know, been able to get a few kills there, which also helps out as these extra Vikings building from INnoVation. It's just going to be seeing a Prism through the top side. SCV moving out. The orbital command of Inno is going to be into the third base location right away. A lot of bio setting up, and this Viking, a couple of Vikings are going to join up from INnoVation as well. So they're going to go hanging out overhead as a few extra Zealots warping in. 1-1 upgrades, Gravitic Drive. All of that continuing through here as these Vikings are on the way up, and that's actually going to be quite nice to get rid of this Warp Prism as well. But yeah, it's going to be another dead Prism. Man, this is so bad for Stats. Happened in the last game too. Now, last game was a bit different of a setup. INnoVation, I'm not sure he's really ready to go across the map, but at the same time, why not posture with this army? If you've killed the Prism and there's nothing to keep you at home, you can at least look for the opportunity to deal damage, and maybe you see a chance to get a drop-off. And that's really possible because this Prism died. So yeah, it's rough for Stats for that to have happened a second time now. That really does hurt him, as man, this is just a massive bio. Kind of just old school bio Viking against this Colossus opener from Stats. Everything joins up and sets up on the right hand side, and we'll start to see the bio. Well, for a moment looked as though it wanted to move along. Stats does bring Zealot, Archon, and Colossus over to the third base. Heading down, gonna see the SCVs pulling as well. Don't think that's too much of a surprise here. Do you like the Disruptor from Stats? A couple of Archons as well. Any sort of additional splash damage to help hold an attack like this one. Observer sees it, so Stats is fully aware of what he's up against. He's got the sentries to help him deal with this initially. INnoVation going to force the first force fields as soon as possible. Zealot on the counterattack as well is just going to try and slow this down as much as he can. Oh, Medivacs are kind of in the middle of nowhere. Disruptor shot, what's that? Oh my god! Oh, Stats, that was disgusting. It just hit absolutely everything. INnoVation was just headbutting into force fields back at home, trying to defend against the counterattack. He gets up this ramp. INnoVation, can he do enough? The Vikings are putting good work in. This Disruptor getting ready to fire up. I mean, he's got one Disruptor that just spawned. The other one will be back off cooldown right about now. It's going to be a huge help in pushing this back. And Stats, it's super one-sided in the end. Stats, that Disruptor shot to start, all kind of, laid the groundwork for that fight. And Stats absolutely demolishes INnoVation's army while being across the map with Zealots. Beautifully played by Stats to bring us to a Game 3. Hoping for a few less losses to single Disruptors. In the bottom left-hand side is our Blue Terror and INnoVation. Taking on the Red Protoss in the top right from the Afrika Freaks. It is Stats, of course, as we go into our third and final game of this second series of the day. So many great matches still to come in Group A. And Stats is still looking for that perfect record. Currently 3-0, could go 5-0 today. Does need a win against INnoVation to set that up, as INnoVation in this group really needs a win just to bring him back from yesterday's loss, and then a shaky win against Dream. I mean, a loss here and he'd be 1-2, a win here 2-1. Those are two very different positions when you play 5 matches in the group. It's not early days anymore. We are right slap bang in the middle of this group now. Probe of Stats will come down the bottom left. Is going to move up into the main to see what is going on. This Rax is going to finish up in a few moments, and the SCV continue to take some damage. So Probe able to get some nibbles there, and just going to be seeing the SCV of INnoVation. We'll go across the map to scout what's going on. There's our command center finally down. A Stats this time will not lose the probe to the SCV. Of course, that was the rough start that happened for him on Eternal Empire. As the Reaper about to finish from INnoVation, and we'll go out onto the map. So Reaper into that Marine. I mean, this is a map where Stats showed us yesterday the 4-gate Blink Stalker. So will he do that again after it was unsuccessful earlier? Or what is the plan? Factory building up, and just going to be seeing the, again, second gas in the main setting up as well. So there's our Twilight Council. Stats a couple of probes AFK in the back here. Get those fixed up, Stats. It's the sort of thing you can't afford against somebody as good as INnoVation, of course. Adept, moving around, seeing what's happening. See that probe continue to chrono boost out. And the robo facility already dropping down in this main base as well. So again, that robo facility down. Reaper is actually trying to move onto the map here, so trying to get across. So you see these couple of Hellions going to be finishing up, and the starport about to complete with the blink on the way from Stats in the main base. Again, that blink going already. Reaper trying to poke in, but Stalker good to deflect at the moment. Again, there's our 2 gateways to help wall off at the front, and the Adept of Stats is going to find itself running out up to the top side of the map here. So, yeah, I was here with the reacted Hellions. You're going to see the Medevac follow up, and INnoVation looking for some early Hellion aggression into the base. No proxied starport. This won't hit super quickly, but still, something to worry about as the factory takes a tech lab. Medevac sets up, Tech Lab starting up as well. Already seeing this Medevac of INnoVation is coming out and across to the upper right-hand side. Four Hellions will load into the Medevac here. Going to go straight to the main base. The few Stalkers, the Adept, all joining up together as we do see INnoVation going to unload. In the main, decides not to. That blink still coming up, going to finish in a few moments. Warp Prism is about to pop out of the robotics facility. Again, these few Hellions want to maybe try and make their way into the natural. Rest of this continuing to the down the right hand side. Again, INnoVation moving around with the Hellion. And this Reaper gonna go and pick away at this Stalker. Blinkers gonna blink up. In the end, these Hellions haven't done too much just yet, as the couple of extra gases from INnoVation on the natural. And then it will continue to escape away through that top side. The Warp Prism of stats is just gonna set up down the bottom. We do see if Stalkers are getting ready to go into the main base. So yeah, Stats obviously kind of much preferring this 3-gate now in the last couple of games. Gives him that faster Robo Bay. So we'll see the Colossi on the way up shortly as well, as he, well, the pressure takes the Stalkers into the back of the main, gets a few SCVs. INnoVation's just going to go aggressively across the map here fairly soon with the Marine Tank Banshee. Even with the third base. Whoa, he's going to start 2 more factories. He's going to play mech for game 3. Okay, I was thinking he was going to go across the map, but the Banshee, just to help out a little bit, maybe we'll actually see some investment onto the Banshee Cloak and Hyperflight Rotors a little bit further down the line here. I was not... I mean, the gases obviously scream mech as well. I just wasn't really looking at those. Wow, so it's mech it will be, as we have the Raven going to auto turret and actually will save itself for the moment. Going to try and loop back around. Can just sit in this dead airspace. Should not be attackable there for a little while, so Raven is going to be safe. Nice save. As Stats obviously, what has he been able to see? Well, he didn't see the gases. He hasn't seen the factories despite this observer being here. That's actually kind of brutal. Stats is so close to realizing, you know, how mech heavy this is. He's going to see it now, maybe? Oh no, he just moved the observer away. That is not good timing. This time he recalls the Prism in plenty of time to get it out as well. And this is actually rough for Stats because he has no idea he's playing against mech right now, I think. He's not seen anything to really tell him. Okay, now he sees a factory built in a tech lab, but he's not seen multiple factories still. He sees these gases so quickly though, right? That's got to be a bit of a tell. I wonder if he's going to do anything about it. 5 extra gates on the way up. Let's get those started already. Stalkers blink down. First SCV already falls. The Observer of Stats in the main base. Viking out down the bottom side as well. And just going to be seeing Temple Archives continue to build from Stats in the natural expansion. Stats pulling back up the right-hand side. Cannons on the way up. Armory's coming through. Observer speed coming in from Stats as well. So getting that up and running. There's our charge. Going to finish shortly with these gates all morphing in. The 1-1 upgrades on the forges also. Again, there are the factories from INnoVation continuing to build in the main. So really just pumping this up and getting that Banshee Cloak going. Again, with this amount of Banshees, expecting to see Banshee speed at some stage. The Stats will just continue to expand. You know, often when we see mech, it really is just on Eternal Empire. So INnoVation bringing it out here on Everdream. In fairness, it's another one of these maps where you get the 4th base, you get this 5th base just in front very easily. You get a rich Vespene gas, which obviously helps. Scanning on the 3rd, so INnoVation keeping track of what Stats may be up to. Now Stats will come down the right-hand side. Nexus on the 4th base. A few moments from completing as the Archon already morphing in, and just seeing the Stargate about to finish up in the main. All of these extra gates coming through. 2-2 upgrades. Is it going to be enough to fight off the power of the mech here? That's going to be our question. Now, INnoVation's production type is half units and half upgrades. Hyperflight, Magfield, 1-1, Infernal Pre-Igniter. Getting all of the tools necessary for this. As the Hellions will go out over to this right-hand side. Nexus from Stats sets up on the low ground as well, so that's going to be 5 bases we set up for. Stalkers get there, picking off a Hellion too. The depth of the center also going to go down. He missed that though. It's just off in the corner, and again, the other Hellions from INnoVation will come out across to the bottom side here. A couple of assimilators building on the fourth base. And just seeing the scan into the main base as well. That scan going in the main. See what's going to happen. Observer just continuing across through the top side then. Alright, well, as these few Banshees from INnoVation will move up the left, we're going to see a couple of extra factories from INnoVation building in the main. We do have hallucinations that are going to get picked off already. The Banshees through the top side. Dark Shrine is going to finish up in the main base. Extra harassment from stats. I love these Marines, just leftovers from kind of making sure you can defend in the early game. They're just going to wander through, accidentally kill a pylon. Banshees into the main base. There's Hellion Cyclone Army on the 5th. Well, Army is from stats here to engage the Army on the 5th base at least. The Phoenix are here to chase down the Banshees. Really good defense across the board from stats so far. Out of everything, the most successful part of this attack is the random group of Marines. But you're actually going to bring this Nexus fairly low before dying to the Zealot Warpin. So in the end, even they weren't that successful, but perfect defense from stats from start through to finish there in multiple locations. And INnoVation is going to need to come up with more than that. Now, of course, his army gets larger now that he's traded out those Marines. And he didn't lose a lot there. The biggest loss was obviously the Banshees, which really went down without really achieving much at all. They definitely did not pay for themselves as INnoVation would have liked. I don't like this fight for INnoVation. It feels like he's got some good numbers, although the tanks just will not siege up. Order turrets going down. Tanks siege up very late into this fight. I think kind of wanted to allow stats to fight, but now he's lost the front line. The Zealots are going to get on top of the tanks. The Phoenix will lift up a few. And this is going to be a big cleanup. Extra Zealots showing up as well. I think stats is just going to charge his way through and perhaps get a base off the back of this as well. INnoVation doesn't have much at the moment, just a group of Hellions. I mean, that really ain't pretty, although against this very heavy Zealot count, it might actually count for something. Those few Hellions still up on the high ground. They will just sit there hiding away, and here we go. Archon Zealots and Stalkers already starting to charge through to the frontier. Phoenix getting a bunch of these lifts. The Zealots will come on in, chasing those Hellions back, and stats on top of this base. I mean, he just takes a few Zealots at this point to keep on picking away some of these SCVs, even setting up a stasis ward mid-fight over on the third base, and INnoVation losing his economy is not looking pretty. There should be a base going down, right? If you don't get the orbital... Wait, where's the orbital going? Why is the orbital flying this way? Orbital command, turn around! Oh no, that's not how things were meant to go. This orbital kind of gave itself up as... Well, the stasis hasn't come into play yet, hasn't really been needed. Some Widow Mines will clean out the Archons at least, but really feels like stats has the numbers at the moment to make this work. Zealots go charging in. This command center decides to fly back. You do see Zealot Archon Stalker continuing away to the upper right hand side, and stats will just fall back and reinvest in everything. He's got all the money to spend. He's got a ton of DTs he just warped in. 3-3 upgrades about to finish, and he's just going to get remaxed and go again, right? Looking good stats, as obviously this base gets replaced pretty quickly. My goodness, the SCV is getting caught in the stasis, so it comes into play in the end as well. Obviously a super hectic fight. INnoVation, difficult to notice that stasis going down when you're possibly looking in a few different locations as well. And you have the couple cannons building on the 5th base, so those cannons on the way up. All of these DTs from stats will go down the left side, and well, Cyclones and Widow Mines are going to go pushing through. I mean, is this an army that wins games? This amount of Widow Mines? I kind of don't want to believe it, but they're actually doing a pretty good job to start. My issue becomes what happens when you get through the Zealots. The Widow Mine's still going to be great while they're blowing up some Stalkers. DTs picked off the entire 4th base during this, though. So while we're watching Mines blow up Zealots, I'm going to see these Stalkers blinking back. Just going to be having our DTs going in for some extra kills. I mean, that's still something you're trying to get rid of. They run out of scan range, so the Cyclones don't even get a kill from that. And stats is going to keep pushing. Again, this is now primarily Cyclones. I guess a few Widow Mines as well, so you can't just blink on the Cyclones because of the Widow Mines. But obviously, INnoVation is just not in a position to really fight this at all. Stats going to bring the DTs across to his main army. I mean, if you can blink in during a main fight, it actually might go very well for you, to be fair. Another revelation drops. The Widowmine gets picked, and we will see stats continuing down to the bottom side of the map. Again, plenty of the DTs. Off to the side here is going to see another 8 or so warping in, and that's a lot of Dark Templar, my friends. That's 18 Dark Templar. 18 DTs on the map from stats. And I think he's going to try and finish this game out in style as he goes in. He knows about the Widow Mines. He's going to set them off on some cells. The DTs are going to blink in for the Cyclones. Oh, and he morphs the Archons at the end for some style points. Stats is going to continue to be undefeated in this group so far, moving up to 4-0 score with a 2-1 victory over INnoVation in this best of 3.